Hey guys, Flam Gangster here. It's been a year since I started this YouTube channel, and what a journey it has been. From vlogging to analysis videos to podcasting. But since the podcasting has been a little bit slow because we're getting to the larger arcs of the One Piece series, I've decided that I want to try something new this year. Reviews on the new Disney Plus shows that are coming out this year. Namely, today's review will be about WandaVision. I believe that I am perfectly capable of reviewing the show since I am a huge fan of the MCU. And so I just want to try my hand at reviewing and see if it works out. And if it doesn't, we'll go back to the podcast. It's not like I'm stopping the podcast. I'm just letting that go on a back burner while I do these reviews on the front burner. I wanted to thank you guys for sticking out with me this year. I know it's been kind of weird starting in a pandemic. Starting a YouTube channel during a pandemic, but it's been fun, and I'm learning new things while doing this channel, and it's thanks to your support that I'm able to keep going, to keep doing these dumb YouTube videos that I like to do. So thank you so much for your support. Like, share, and subscribe. And here is my review for the new Disney Plus TV show, WandaVision.
Is anyone there? Hey.
So first, I'm going to start with no spoiler territory here. It's there's nothing really to spoil, to be honest. We're kind of thrown into the world that somebody has created. We've seen from the trailers that Wanda and Vision are somehow a married couple, somehow in the 60s, and reality isn't quite meshing well with this new version of the world. It's kind of like a play on 60s sitcoms, and kind of like those weekly episodes, you know, where like there's a problem but then it gets resolved within the episode. So that's as much non-spoilery as I can go. If you don't want to spoil yourself, go ahead, go watch the TV show and then come back to this video when you're done, because I really do want to get into the meat of the show. So fair warning, spoiler review starting now. So I think the thing that I like the most about WandaVision is that it's a weekly show. It's coming out weekly. I mean, one, that gives me time to edit, record, and edit videos in a weekly fashion. And two, it allows us to be engrossed in the world. So the first episode starts off with Wanda and Vision waking up one morning, discovering that there's something special about the day that they're having, because there's a heart on the calendar, and they don't know what's special about it. Like, we're giving no context as to how Vision is alive. We don't know how Wanda's and Vision got married. We don't know how they got this house in a 60s setting, like in a 60s neighborhood or whatever. We know something is up, but we're not told anything at all. You can tell that the writers really put a lot of thought through to the ending so that we can have like breadcrumbs of evidence throughout the first two episodes. But it's basically like, Wanda thinks it's their anniversary, and Vision discovers his boss is coming to visit them, and so for dinner, and like hijinks ensue, you know. But there is a little tidbit part of the episode where we are specifically told like that something is wrong, that this isn't all like hijinks and comedy and all that stuff. Something is at the fabric of this universe is weird. It's when the Vision's boss, Mr. Hart, as they call him, starts choking on one of the eggs that Wanda made for everybody, and his wife thinks she's joking, and so she says, "Stop it, honey, stop it," and she keeps saying "stop it" until she starts looking at Wanda, and she's kind of like asking her to stop it instead of her husband to stop like playing around when he actually isn't. So I think what I'm thinking here is that they based this story on a lot of comics, but one of them was where Wanda, Scarlet Witch, in the comics, she basically like warped all of reality to suit her father Magneto's needs. But Magneto obviously doesn't exist in this universe, so they're kind of like, but I feel like they're taking story elements from that, because Mrs. Hart is telling Wanda to stop it, not her husband, right? She's facing Wanda and she's telling her, stop it. Like, please stop it, like she's asking her. And so that was like my first clue that this isn't something somebody else is doing, it's something Wanda is doing to herself subconsciously. But I just, like, I know a little bit about that comic. I don't know a lot about it. That's just kind of like my theory, that Wanda is the one who made this reality so that maybe she and Vision can have some semblance of a happy ending. So that was episode 1. There was also something else that I liked about episode 1, is that they don't forget that she's from Sokovia. When she surprises her, who she thinks it's Vision, but it's actually her husband's boss. She plays like peekaboo. She puts her eyes around his, she puts her hands around his eyes, and he's like, "What do you think you're doing, lady?" And then Vision is like, "Oh, did I mention that my wife's from Europe? Like, they have weird customs up there, you know, playing on that, like, foreign, you know, they have weird customs, you know." Breakfast for dinner, because she ends up making eggs for them. I really like the aspect that we're still in the MCU. It's just that something is messed up, something is wrong, but Wanda is still from Sokovia, and Vision, and she has her powers, and Vision is still a robot made out of vibranium. Another aspect that they really explored in the second episode a little bit more, but it was shown in the first episode, was Vision. He was really bland character throughout the MCU. You could see that Paul Bettany was trying to do something with him in like Civil War and Infinity War, like especially that scene in Infinity War where Wanda and him are hanging out in like some European country, I can't remember, at the beginning of the movie, and he's like, "What if I don't go on that train? What if we stay together forever?" before like he gets stabbed and all that stuff. But you can see that he's becoming a little bit more human, and even Stark acknowledges that. Tony, he tells Banner's like, "Where's Vision?" Like, he has the Mind Stone, and he says, well, he's meeting up with Wanda in Europe. He's like, "Why you let that machine go?" He's like, he's not a machine anymore. He's becoming something more. Like, he's becoming a little bit more human. And so they really explore that aspect of Vision in this show, like right off the bat. He's not as like techno-babbly as he was in Ultron, or he was in Infinity War, or any of those movies. He's very human, I would say. He's trying to assimilate, but he has like kind of like jokes where when he goes to work, his friend is like, "Man, ever since you came here, productivity went up by 300%. You're like a computer." And he's like, "I'm not a computer. What are you talking about?" I find that really funny. And Paul Bettany is really playing that up, that he's trying to be more human. He's trying to fit in. They're both trying to fit in, actually. But it's a lot harder for Vision to do that than it is for Wanda, because Wanda's already a person. Vision is not. You can see, and especially in the second episode, they do like, oh, Vision is drunk because he ate gum or whatever. And they do that little animation in the beginning of the second episode, and I find that really, like, Jetsons kind of feel like Flintstones. But yeah, basically we have like 2 episodes where like hijinks ensue, and our protagonists are trying to hide that they are supernatural. But you can tell that there's something wrong with this world, as by the end of episode 2, you can tell, even during episode 2, somebody was trying to contact Wanda. They're like, "Wanda, who's doing this to you?" Like, through the radio. The lady that she's supposed to impress, supposedly, she's like, "Where am I? Like, what's going on?" She's very confused. And whenever she meets that other lady, I can't remember her name, like Gladys or something. It was a weird, like, 60s name. She's like, "Oh, what's your name?" And she had to like think about it for a second. So definitely something going on with the lady she has to impress and the black lady that she just befriended. And then also at the end of the episode, it was just like, after the hijinks and the comedy and all that stuff, something really, really strange happened. They go outside because they hear a noise, and then like this beekeeper comes out of the sewers, and there's bees surrounding him, and Wanda's just like, "No." It's like, she says no, and then time rewinds, and it's like as if none of that happened, and all of a sudden everything goes into color, and suddenly we're not in a 60s sitcom with black and white TV. We are in a 70s sitcom, and Wanda is supposedly pregnant, and nothing makes sense at all. In the end, I'm really intrigued for where this show is going. You can tell that whoever wrote this, or whoever directed this, or whoever decided that this should be a thing, knew how this was going to end. and they're kind of like spreading the breadcrumbs of the weirdness that's going on throughout the show. Like, it's definitely kind of like a Memento situation where you have to know everything else that's going on to be able to tell a compelling story. I really like the fact that they took the time to just give us these 2 wacky episodes and just have like maybe 10 minutes of like weirdness, like where they're calling her on the radio, or the lady is telling her to stop like choking her husband, maybe, I'm not sure, but like they allowed us to encompass the world that, if my theory is correct, that Wanda wants for her and Vision. Like a perfect world where they're just in a sitcom and only wacky hijinks ensue. This is the world that Wanda has always wanted for herself and for her love, Vision, of course. But it was all taken away from her in Infinity War. So maybe, if my theory is correct, she went insane and just made an entire block of a neighborhood like her reality, like what she wants. And with that, I think I've ended this review. Like I said, I like what they're doing. It's intriguing enough for me to want to wait to watch the next episode next week. Not stale enough that I don't like these episodes on their own. I actually chuckled a lot when Vision got like drunk basically with the gum in his system and he started showing his actual powers in the talent show. I really like that they're exploring something different in the MCU, like the weird side of it, the Doctor Strange part of it, and the Wanda part of it especially, since her powers are very terrifying. And if my theory is correct, she's the one that's doing this to these people and hurting them in some sort of way, making them forget who they are and all that stuff. Kind of like a side note, Agnes is kind of like my favorite right now, their neighbor who's on the right or whatever. On my right, she says. She is my favorite character so far. I've heard rumors that she's like supposed to be the Wanda's like antagonist, like she's supposed to be the villain, but I feel like she's kind of a bystander, kind of just like a funny bystander. Maybe it'll change, I don't know, but so far her and Paul Bettany's Vision are my favorite part of the show, and props to everybody working on the show. It's pretty cool, it's really amazing, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So I'm going to give episodes 1 and 2 8 out of 10. Actually, reviewers, they all have like weird ranking systems. So let me make a weird ranking system. I'm gonna rate this a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure level of weird. And with that, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.